We all work really, really hard for our money. So sometimes it's just ready to step above. We don't necessarily want to always drive the basics. So it might be that time to spend some of your hard-earned dollars on the next luxury car. But unfortunately, many luxury cars are unruly, unreliable, and are very expensive to maintain and operate. But recently, I created a video with a list of 5 of the most reliable luxury cars available on the market today. But realistically, not everybody wants to drive a Lexus or an Acura. We all know that European cars are some of the best driving, best styled, and most dynamic vehicles out there. So sometimes we just want something a little more interesting. Well, guess what? Today's your lucky day. We're talking Euro Edition, and I'm going to share a list of 5 amazing European luxury vehicles that are so amazing to drive, they're going to knock your socks off, but they're ultra reliable as well. Let's get into it now.
Life's too short to drive boring cars.
So the first one on my list isn't because I own the car. I own the car because it's actually relatively reliable. We're talking about the Mercedes C300 Coupe right here. You can also get a sedan, but they basically share the same drivetrain. Both available in 4MATIC all-wheel drive as well as a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. Earlier generations make anywhere from about 240 horsepower. Later generations over 260 horsepower, all from that turbocharged 2-liter engine. But let's take a closer look right here and understand why, in fact, this is a great choice. This is virtually like our car. Mine's blue, but essentially I bought the coupe just like this. And you can get all this luxury and fun and frivolity for a relatively meager dollar. Right there you get the big badge by Mercedes. I personally think these headlights are absolutely gorgeous. It's almost like a crystal shop got loose in here. Gorgeous. Of course, you have all this trim along the front edge, which is essentially a wrapped version of chrome, but it does look great. And the car has a very strong look at the front. We also notice that when this thing's coming down the road, it has a very strong presence. The way Mercedes builds it out, it has the look to absolutely satisfy. But what about the rest? Going down the side, it's a beautiful car. I personally love the way it flares up at the back here. It looks very aggressive there. And of course, you can get this beautiful little lip tail there. And in some cases, you can add the little C43 lip. Gives it much more even prominence there. Beautiful LED rear tail lights on this C300. And this one's 4MATIC. So that means you can get 4-wheel drive. They have gorgeous exhaust tips right there. Somewhat fake, but there they are on both sides. And I love this style of Mercedes rim. Some people are tired of it, saying it's getting old. Personally, I love that 5-star wheel. Of course, you get chrome door handles that are soft touch and the LED style mirrors that are auto fold away. You also have that great oversized glass panel. If you look at a lot of the Lexus cars and Acura cars, they use a standard basic little glass top, whereas a lot of these premium German cars are going full in and providing a nice glass panel like this to give lots of light into the cabin for all the happy little customers inside. But speaking inside, the interior on these modern day C300 cars are absolutely gorgeous. Much nicer than many BMWs, with a lot of different textures, style, trims. You've got lots of brushed aluminum, and it is absolutely gorgeous with the gloss black finishing. The infotainment system is beautiful, as is the steering wheel, full of all of the controls and amenities you're looking for in a modern day Mercedes. We've personally been very happy with ours. We've owned it for about 2 years now, and it's been great. We've got about 50,000 kilometers, and while that doesn't tell the whole story, I've searched and scoured the forums. I've talked to customers and people across the industry, as well as mechanic friends of mine, and there's very little you can find that has gone wrong with these vehicles. The only thing that you find, the odd random story on the forums of somebody talking about an engine rebuild needing, or wrist pins that went bad, or cracked piston crowns, but that's rare. These cars are proving to be very durable, and they're very economical, which makes them easy to live with on a day-to-day basis. And the 4-cylinder engine is a little rackety when at idle. It sounds slightly diesely, but that's not uncommon for a lot of modern day 4-cylinder engines in a lot of different brands. The only thing I can say is the trim feels a little bit fragile. Our rocker panel came slightly dislodged. We had to get it refixed by the dealer. And our interior speaker on the door popped out when we hit a set of extremely aggressive train tracks. Other than that, the car seems to hold up very well, feels tight, taut, handles exceptionally well. So I personally have no concerns with believing that the C300 Mercedes will run at least 200,000 miles. And the next one is what's parked right behind me here. Yes, I never thought I'd ever say this. A British car that's reliable? Yes. And there's many happy customers that have logged thousands and thousands of miles. But let's get into the details and we'll talk about it. The beautiful Jaguar, as you see before us, is essentially a full-size sports sedan, chocked full of amenities. As a matter of fact, it has featured even better than many BMWs and Audis in its class. But let's take a quick look and I'll explain. Beautiful, you've got LED tail lights on this beautiful Jaguar, and what we have is the S version with the all-wheel drive. Yes, all wheels can chomp at the pavement. This is great for summer and winter. Here we have one tailpipe and two right there. Of course, a set of chrome dual pipes on that makes it look extra sporty. The Jaguar XE has done some great things. Beautiful wheels. I love these high gloss, piano gloss black wheels. And as you can see, you've got red calipers tucked in behind there as well. Absolutely beautiful car. This is a great way to get into a luxury European vehicle without breaking the bank, because A, it's relatively affordable to buy new, and B, it's relatively reliable. Yes, there's actually customers that have logged 150,000 miles plus. I've even heard of a couple that have made over 200,000 miles with their Jaguar XE. But look at some of the elements. Beautiful Jaguar detail on the side fender there. Of course, we have this high piano gloss black finishing with LED strips. Beautiful auto fold away here. Pretty standard looking headlight arrangement on this S, and of course you'll see the beautiful little kitty cat right there purring away. Look on the top, as is a lot of European luxury vehicles, you're getting full glass tops, so it makes it much more luxurious and more open and spacious in the cabin when you have all that light blasting down in there. How's the interior? Absolutely gorgeous. Maybe not quite up to par with Audis and BMWs in terms of overall fit and finish, but it's solid. You have some great features like that pop-up automatic transmission controller and more soft close features, as well as beautiful contrast stitching in the leather interior. It also had heads-up display. And for people who like variety, you can get a variety of different engines. You could actually get a diesel engine in this. You could get the early 2-liter turbo, which was an EcoBoost, and then later they came up with a different alternative, which is another 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. There was also a 3-liter supercharged V6, which what we have right here, as well as a higher output version of a V8. And I personally had one of these for a long-term loaner as an extended review, and it didn't miss a beat. There are a few issues, however, just to be aware of. The infotainment system in there is virtually junk, and it's slow, lurchy, and it's clearly not up to modern day standards. There was also a few issues with fuel leaks because of the soft hose that goes to the fuel filter. Get that sorted out and you're good to go. Seatbelts also had a recall on them, and as well as the start-stop system is a little glitchy. I personally own an F-Type Jaguar myself, and the start-stop system is truly glitchy. I believe it's a Jaguar thing. Mine sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. It seems to be when the weather cools off a little bit, it never seems to satisfy all the conditions that you need to meet for the system to properly operate. It's very glitchy, but either way, who wants the start-stop system? Keep that vehicle running. There's also issues with defrosting, and sometimes the windows get misted up a little easier than they possibly should. But get around some of these oddities and obscurities. What you can have here is something that's different, unique. Of course, you've got vendors all over in every major city that can support the servicing of these vehicles. And this is a great way to get into a luxury Euro vehicle that's both reliable, dependable, and can get you a lot of miles. And the next one is what's parked behind us here. And I know BMW's had some struggles along the way, and there have been many efforts to try to improve on durability and reliability. But if I can actually overextend and talk about this specific model with this specific engine, you can actually get a car that may last a significant amount of time, and it's relatively reliable. Let's take a look. What we have here is a beautiful 3 Series BMW. Take a look. Got M badging, beautiful high gloss wheels, LED headlights, and you'll notice that grille. Because it's crosshatch, that means it's got a 6-cylinder engine. Of course, down there you have a very aggressive front spoiler. And look at the rocker panel. It's definitely full of contours and design. Of course, at the back here, you've got an add-on. This has some performance M parts. We have a carbon fiber wing right there. Absolutely beautiful piece right on there. And down there, you'll notice we have 2 exhaust tips. Beautiful. Oversized like that. Gorgeous. Lots of little vents on the rear. And this is the M340, also equipped with the X-Drive, so it means it's all-wheel drive. Driving all 4 of these wheels, great for summer or winter. Of course, we have a sunroof on top, not oversized, but a little bigger than most Lexus and Toyota type vehicles or Acura. We have soft touch there, and absolutely gorgeous interior on the latest BMWs. This one here has a nice striking combination of red and black, but you have the latest iDrive system, and quality of fit and finish is better and better wearing than most other brands in this segment. But who's to say this one will last a long time? Well, this has the 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, very robust. Lots of brands are using it. It's ultra reliable. Quick shifting, it knows the driver's response, so it's fun and it's very durable. It takes a beating and keeps on ticking. But more importantly, we're driving this is a 3 Series. You can get a 4-cylinder, the B48. You can get the B58, which is the 6-cylinder that you see in here. And you can also get the M variations of this particular car. This is the one you want. It's the B58. It's the 3-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder engine tucked under that hood. Now, what makes it so good? The original N54 was their twin turbocharged 6-cylinder. That was brutal. I had one in my 335i, and I learned the hard way from fuel injector issues, high pressure fuel pumps, leaks from radiators and thermostats and water pumps. It was a disaster. Then came the single turbocharged engine after that, and now we have the B58, which is the latest and greatest, and they've done lots to make this much more reliable. We have heat encapsulation, so the swings between high and cold are less involved. You've got improved engine structural rigidity, you've got better fuel injection components, and they've even revised some of the gasketing and design around the oil filter housing to hopefully reduce the amount of leaks that you get on the front end of the engine as well. There's been lots of improvements throughout, tweaks and tunes to make this engine what it is today, both high performing as well as more durable than anything before it in terms of 6-cylinder engines. And because the 3 Series and 2 Series cars are a little bit more simple, I would suggest these are the cars of choice with the B58, that's the Turbo 6, because they're both simpler and more reliable. And my next favorite luxury car that you can find from Europe is what's parked right behind me here. It's a great car. It's not super expensive. It's not the most technical version of Audi because we're talking about the 4-ring car right behind me here, but it has lots of amenities. And personally, what attracts me to this car is the styling. I think Audi creates a lot of cars that are very bland and vanilla yogurt. This car here adds a lot of touches to me in terms of a styling perspective that take the standard car and bump it up. For example, an A4 is a little basic looking to me. Here, the A5 just steps up all these styling elements threefold. So right here, we're looking at the Audi A5. The beautiful Audi headlights, as you would always expect. Right here, we've got the S-Line version. And if you look, I love that flare up at the front. It kind of flares upwards. It's beautiful. Of course, we have soft touch handles front and back. Of course, here as well, the S-Line, you'll notice we have this great little wing on the back. This high piano gloss black wing up top, and it's a quattro as that standard feature for the A5. Of course, down here we have all that piano gloss black finishing there, and as well we have the dual exhaust tips. Look in there. And then of course, beautiful wheels as you would expect by Audi. Look at all the detail and accent along the side of the car. I love the overall themes. Of course, down here we have a lot more detail to give a little texturing, and I love that high piano gloss black finishing on that front grille. It's a large grille. What about on top of these cars? It's like I said, most of the European cars are coming up with these larger sunroofs, which allow a lot more sunlight into the cabin for all the happy passengers riding along. Versus a lot of the Japanese cars, for example, like Lexus and Acura, have a much smaller sunroof, almost like what you're seeing in the 3 Series BMW, but this is much, much nicer. Even detail right there, that's piano gloss black. What about the interior? No doubt in my mind, Audi has some of the nicest interior finishing in the business. Contrast stitching, nice soft touch plastics, brushed aluminum, and tactile controls. They're practical both summer, winter, and throughout many other poor driving conditions, but this does come standard with a beautiful 7-speed automatic transmission and a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine wrapped under that hood in 2 different states of tune. You can get the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo, makes 201 horsepower, or you can get the upgrade, which is 260 horsepower, which is probably the way you want to go. A little extra grunt. And realistically, most of its competitors from both BMW in the B48 makes 255 horsepower. The Alfa Romeo makes like 270 horsepower. You really do pretty much need to get the step-up engine drivetrain in this just to be somewhat competitive. But otherwise, it's a thing of beauty, the Quattro all-wheel drive system, and the very simplicity that makes this thing great. There are a few problems. Just take a note. Not a lot, but it's mostly electrical. One is the infotainment system sometimes glitches out, hangs up. That has been a common complaint. I also have a friend that has the passenger airbag sensor within the seat. That has been a glitchy problem, as well as some of the automated stop system actually engages at a very unfortunate time, causing potentially a hazardous condition. That has been an issue. Start stop as well, problematic. So there realistically have been a few electronic bugs in these cars. Get around that. The drivetrains have been pretty stout, and Audi has come a long ways from some of the cars but 15 years ago. There's no way we're getting through a list like this without mentioning a car like that. And we're talking about one of my all-time favorites, and it's the Porsche 911. What we have here is a GTS Targa, and Porsche has been classic for creating all these subversions on versions. You have Carreras, Carrera S's, Turbos, GTS's, GT3s, and the list goes on. Suffice it to say, even the cheapest, lowest cost of entry, lowest power output car is still going to be a phenomenal machine to drive. Doesn't matter if you're buying a base Carrera or you're buying the new Turbo S. They're all great. And they're all quite reliable. And it's Porsche's not just takes attention to the details on performance, they also come from a racing heritage, so they know that under extreme conditions means that parts have to hold up under those conditions. A lot of the other manufacturers don't build their cars to those levels of tolerance, but Porsche does. Let's take a quick look first. I've always liked the Porsche 911 just because they've kept it standard, they've kept it real. You look down all these older Porsches and they all kind of look the same. But here, if there's one thing that's pretty consistent, it's the beautiful headlights you'll find on the 911. And of course, you've got that chin spoiler that is just enough to give you a sharp, moves the air just nicely, and is a very aggressive and appealing look. Beautiful wheels. How about those massive calipers that are tucked under behind those wheels? And as I mentioned, we have the GTS, which of course here we have some beautiful flaring along the sides. And as you notice, you've got this wing that pops up and does its magic. Down at the back, we have a set of twin tailpipes and a little extra detail tucked in behind there for a little extra aero. Newer style handles on these 911s, and even the mirrors don't lack in extra detail. There's very little of low quality on these cars, and there's a substantial reason why these cars cost a significant amount of money. What are the interiors like on these? Well, let's look. Absolutely gorgeous, and they've really tried to keep things consistent from year on year, and it's absolutely stunning. Everything's ergonomically perfect. The quality is second to none. And one thing that's consistent is the engine has always been in the back, the transmission as well, and rear wheels have been predominantly the drive. To get into a base 911 of the current generation, 379 horsepower is what you're looking at. The S gets you up to 443 horsepower, and this GTS gets you all the way up to 473 horsepower. You don't think that's adequate? Porsche always finds ways to put down way more power effectively than most other brands. Many other manufacturers need at least 30, 40, 50% more power just to hold its own with the Porsche 911. These are spectacular. This is a 3-liter twin turbo, by the way, but it's not called a turbo car either way. And it's all pushed through an 8-speed dual clutch, what they call the PDK transmission in the Porsche world. Yeah, you can upgrade to a manual 6-speed and row your own gears, but that's going to cost you a little extra because you have to ante up to the S or the GTS like we see right here. And with all of that said, maybe you just want a luxury car and you want to play it safe. If you haven't seen that great video right there, that's the last one I spoke of with the most reliable luxury cars on the market today. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.